All right, Gary, what are we doing this week?
Well, Cole, before I answer that, I have a question for you. Have you seen this?
Yeah, that's a copy of Contradiction, and we should probably talk about it because there's a lot to say.
Jinxie.
Jinxie, Shaggy.
Jinxie.
Oh gosh, this, but with like the live action Scooby-Doo crew.
I would hate that. I hate Scooby-Doo so much.
It's the worst.
It's
so bad.
The worst fucking cartoon. It is the worst property. Like, I hate Scooby-Doo. Even the name makes me mad.
I didn't realize that was such a button for you. I know that generally you don't like old cartoons, but
yeah. I mean, it's just I think it's a low quality old cartoon.
Yeah.
But however, I'm still Gary Butterfield.
I'm Cole Ross.
And this is After Suffering.
Here's special guest star Phyllis Diller. My husband.
Like, so you're the haunted amusement park. Dillerland. This is the show where we play bad games so you don't have to, but we also break the format from time to time because we're free and there's no governing body.
Right. You're not the boss of me, Dad.
Yeah.
Specifically, we have this is a demand that was made. It was in good faith. Like Joshua Dybowski knew what he was doing when he brought us this, saying, I actually really like this game, but it's not likely to get the WAF or BFC treatment. How funny would that be? Oh man,
can you imagine a BFC? Like in this episode, we're talking about the west side of the street.
Yep, hour one.
Yeah, there's this house. Let's get into the house.
Two screens
there that we don't interact with.
Yeah. But they continue. Even though it is the Dark Souls of FMV adventure games, you should get everything you want out of it in a half an hour. No, I played this for like 6 hours. I played the whole thing. This is a very good game. In fact, this is a game that I put it on the calendar, and Gary was playing this for prep and said, Gary or Cole, we need to, he calls me Gary. It's a little,
we make it as confusing as possible.
It's a little emasculating, but we're fine. No, and just we need more time.
This is good.
Yeah. We need to finish this so we can talk about it.
Yeah. I didn't want to not have, just get the kind of, cause and to be fair, right. So the other half of that coin is, the part, if we had played for a half hour and kind of got the neat thing about it, there's not tons of like digressive material in it, right. So being a traditional abject suffering wasn't going to work. But I'd never heard of this. I know it like has been around for a while.
Yeah, this was kind of, this was the illusionist to Her Story's Prestige.
Yes. And I'm going to make a controversial statement. I like this more than I like Her Story.
Okay.
Yeah. I can go into why and everything like that. Like, but I think this is a little bit more fun and a little bit less tedious.
Okay.
I think Her Story is very cool. I find playing it very tedious.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that like if we're just going by like general critical consensus, I think Her Story is probably more important and a little bit more ambitious than this is. But
it's definitely definitely a little bit more ambitious. And I like that with Her Story. The game part of it lies within the cracks. Like it's up to you to bring it.
Right.
It's an extension of an idea. I think is like, the Gone Home idea where like when people say that's not a game or there's not an interaction, it's like, well, no, the degree to which you explore is the degree to which you get the story. That's true on Her Story with an additional level.
Right. And I really dug the like coming up with a search heuristic kind of thing. Like I made pages and pages of notes about like just like maps of what sprung off of what. Like I was fully engaged during that time, but that would not be everybody's experience with it.
I mean, I still, I got through it and I got that experience out of it and I enjoyed putting together the story and I like a search engine as a game engine. Mm-hmm. I just found like, honestly, what did it for me. And like, this is a mild factor here, but it's way improved is the couple of seconds of like rev up and rev down in each video. Yeah. Like I wanted transcripts of them or something like that. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be able to get information quicker rather than sit back and watch a mini movie. You couldn't do that because you had the performance was important. Like I had to kind of guess like, oh, maybe she's not telling the truth about this through body language, but just kind of the like, okay, you know, she would like take a little like a beat to you know, to
like obviously processing the question that was just asked that you don't hear. Yeah.
Which was real, but I got so sick of it. Like it felt realistic, but I was just kind of like, man, I want to get this information quicker. I didn't think it was a very well paced game in a weird way.
Yeah.
Where I think this avoids that problem in one way and gains it in another.
Oh God, yeah.
Like the pacing of this also falls down, but the questioning, it doesn't happen like that.
No,
like the questioning is not part of it.
Yeah, because you are literally. So let's get into the way that this works. This is an FMV game that was put out in 2015. And you are like trying to solve this murder mystery that's taking place in this small English village.
Real quick, this has underlined, along with like watching Hot Fuzz and other things, how much I want to live in like a village.
Oh my God, I was hoping we could talk about that. Like, I know people who live there, like people from England, are like, oh my gosh, it's so boring. Everybody's terrible. There's, you know, it's like all that stuff. Like the small towns suck. Like, no, I'm kind of at the point in my life where I'm ready for just like a small idyllic village where I have like a little garden surrounded by stones.
Yeah, I go, you know, head down to the pub, you know, for the night, just kind of like bike around. Like,
yeah,
it looks very nice, other than the evil things that are happening in this town.
Right. The weird like Scientology / like business, you know, Vitamix kind of thing. Vitamix is a like, blender. What am I thinking of?
Part of me, guerrilla mindset.
Yep. Yeah.
A part of me wanted to be the cop from Hot Fuzz, but without a plot. Like, I would just get there and be like, yo, this is a really easy, cool job. I'm just going to take it as it is and not question it. Yeah. Like, you know, it's like they're killing mimes, but like, honestly, I didn't know that guy, and I can just kind of turn my blind eye to this.
That gargoyle the gargoyle could have been an accident.
Yeah. You know, it's not everything's murder. You know, like I feel like I could have went along with it in order to have a super cushy job where I just like hung out, ate cake, drink beer, had sex with that hot, you know, lady cop who they joked about her going around the station. So
yeah, no. So I'm happy we're both on the same page, because that style of living seems attractive to me.
Yeah. Not all the time, not now necessarily, but someday down the road.
Yeah.
And like an American village of the same sort doesn't sound good to me.
Well, like
it has to be a British version.
It would definitely have to, because I think there would have to be like a closeness or a proximity to everything that you just don't get like in a lot of small towns in America. Like that probably exists in America, but it is like one town that is in like Rhode Island.
Yeah. It's just J.D. Salinger's like compound.
Right.
And that's it. Because like an American version of this, I just associate small town America. I know it's not everyone in small town America, but it's like I moved out of a small town in America in part because of the politics. Right. Like I didn't want to be around a bunch of right leaning people who were kind of racist, and that's the small town I lived in. So I'm not saying every small town is that, but there is a comorbidity with small towns and racism and conservatism that I have no interest in being around.
And I believe that the British people in our audience would say that's exactly what you would find, like in small towns in the north of England. You know,
a small town in Sweden or something. Like there's got to be a small town. There's got to be
like a small town in Scotland. Like Scotland would have to like is generally considered to be pretty left leaning on the whole. That and the weather would agree with me more.
Yeah. So there's got to be a country where I could find a small town that is. I'm not expecting to like go to protests once a month, but I just don't have to deal with somebody like using a slur at the bar.
Yeah, like just a little bit less grinning and bearing it, I think.
Yeah.
But you know, you're walking around this town trying to uncover, you know, a little bit of the seedy underbelly of this place by figuring out of this young girl who, you know, died, drowned in the lake, and was found with some alcohol and morphine in her body, whether or not it was suicide or if it was a murder. And so you're, you know, talking to her associates and finding out that she was kind of wrapped up in this cult. Like it's presented as like a business leadership skills kind of thing, but it's really a let's train you and sell you off as like a white collar slave almost is the idea.
And there's no closure on that.
No.
You solved the murder, but it's set up for a sequel.
Yeah, it's left as a hook for like the greater like Jenks trilogy,
the extended Jenksiverse. That's going to go into, and like this actual like plot of this is kind of interesting, but not that interesting.
Right. That's why I don't feel too terrible like spoiling that broader thing, because you're. if there's something called Atlas that is run by the Rand family.
Yeah. It's just going to be Myst 4. Yeah, or like Myst 6. I don't feel bad spoiling it either. And the pleasure of this doesn't come through in that, the uncovering the actual main plot. It's the individual little bits of the mystery you're solving on this macro level or micro level, and then the performances.
Yeah.
Which are uniformly like this is an FMV game. I don't think we actually even said that.
Oh, I said it.
Okay. This is an FMV game, and like the performances in this are like singularly charismatic and good.
Yes.
Like it is so a pleasure to talk to these people. Not that they're like good, they're like hamming it up, but I almost and that's another reason why I think that I prefer this to Her Story is it's not serious.
Yeah, it is not
like this
well
has a
acted.
sense of humor.
Yeah.
Well, I mean the whole thing has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Which I think is missing from Her Story, which like makes the experience kind of less fun. Like this it's very fun to watch these characters act.
Oh yeah.
in just a real like base way. Like the younger guy who runs, even the older guy actually, everyone associated with the evil corporation is extremely fun.
Yeah, like agree. The younger guy associated with the corporation, like gesturing like he's a Dave Foley character on Kids in the Hall, like gesturing with his drink.
He's so over the top. At one point, he literally tosses his entire drink. Like there's nothing left in it, and then the next question, it's full again because that's
the way this game is put together. Yeah,
but it's very funny.
Yeah.
And then the older guy who is so menacing and like. Kind of a good actor, but also just like chewing the scenery really hard.
Yeah.
It's like a whole game that's like the best. Like when people say like, "Oh, you shouldn't watch the Yui Bowl," movie like the Return Dungeon Siege Tale or whatever. But it's kind of fun to watch Burt Reynolds like chew the scenery.
Yeah.
It's like a whole movie where every character is having that kind of fun.
Right.
And it's just like there's just something to the charisma of watching people do these performances that like just really spoke to me. Like it was never a chore to sit down and play this because I knew I was going to be able to watch these, these little videos of these people who are just fun to watch.
Yeah. And I had very little problem like going and asking them about every single piece of evidence because I knew that even if they like, if they had nothing to say about it, they would say it in a way that was engaging. Like, what was that? Like they'd have like a little joke about it. Like it is well written, competently acted, and let's say directed to the medium.
Yes, directed to the medium and acted to the medium.
Yeah.
Like it is none of this is Shakespeare, but it's exactly appropriate.
Right.
It is extremely fun.
I mean, and all of that is like underlined by the main character, Jenks.
Jenks is great.
Yeah. I mean, like he's presenting like he's trying out to be the narrator for like a combination like reality game show nature documentary. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like his acting and all of his posture, it's all neck.
He's a real like he's kind of lanky. Like he's like a lanky guy. And he wears that hat and he's kind of bald under it.
Yeah.
He has a real look to him, like a real kind of like Lakini's Juice I Feel Better video kind of like he's a little bit wiry in a way that is kind of fun, but he's having a lot of fun too. And just like the continued, like you end up taking pleasure in repeated beats of this in a way that I wouldn't expect.
Right. You hate, and I think to a certain extent also hate repetition like this.
Yes.
But like, I don't know, like I'm watching this, I'm thinking about how it's put together. In every location, he has to, like this actor had to pull out every physical piece of evidence and find a way to make, okay, what do you think about this entertaining?
Yeah. Have you tried Simon's homebrew? Like this is kind of like to be in this like.
Now, have you tried Simon's homebrew?
Yeah. And then the mask thing, he like plays with them like they're props, which is very fun. It is just like weirdly the rhythm of it ends up being very comforting and cool in a way that's very hard to explain.
Yeah.
I think.
Then something that is good about this that I don't think they go far enough with is most of the play happens by menu.
Yes.
Right? When you are kind of like mousing around and seeing the same generously 25 screens in varying levels of like, hey, we shot this day for night and here's a filter making it look a little bit darker. Like that sucks. But if you're just selecting a place on a map and talking to a person, like the mechanic of this game is, talking to people, presenting them the things that you start out with just like, hey, this person died and we have we have her driver's license. And then they kind of introduce different pieces of evidence, or like in a very limited way, you find pieces of evidence around just by clicking a magnifying glass. There's no pixel hunting. And then the person's statement will bring up kind of like little facts, like that you can use to make contradictions. So you will show them like, hey, do you recognize this drug? They will say, oh, we never do drugs. And then you would talk about something else, and they would say, oh yeah, way back when. And say, well, no, like you find those two elements in their testimony and rub them up against each other.
Yes, and that's the central mechanic, which like starts off incredibly strong and gets less strong as the game goes on.
Well, yeah, because they never purge any of the old stuff, and they do something which is kind of bad in an adventure game logic or adventure game things. They make stuff that you got at the beginning of the game really important without ever touching base with that piece of information before that, so you forget that you have it.
Yeah, you have to kind of scan through things. There are also some like minor bits where it's like there are things that seem like they would be contradictions, but aren't.
Yeah, or they're just two similar things. Like I understand the idea that they're getting at, because like I watched their performance and they got uncomfortable about this one thing, and like on the two pieces of evidence, there are two things that maybe could contradict each other. You have to find the exact right one.
Yes,
there's no fuzziness
which is kind of a bummer. And finding those clues in the world is a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Like going through and it's like, okay, I talked to somebody, I got this new little thing, so now I had to go back through everyone and do it. Like,
yep.
It's fine. It's fun to watch their performances, but just the travel and the load screens in between, end up kind of adding up in a way. But it starts off really brilliantly, because that's the most fun part of like a Phoenix Wright game or something, is catching lies.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that's not, and that's a really good feeling. Like, wait a minute. That's very, very good indeed.
Yeah. I love paying attention as a game mechanic. I've talked about that even going back as far as like episode 2 of WoW. Like I'm like all kinds of into this.
Yeah. Very good. And it's not the degree that you have to pay attention to like take notes. It's not that quite level of like abduction level studiousness.
Right.
It is just, hey, that doesn't sound right. You can kind of like play it as with your gut. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways.
Yeah. Like it's a pretty intuitive game, and I think that like they get out of the way when it's necessary to let that intuition, take place.
Yes. Yeah. One of the weirdest things about it operating as on its primary mechanic is that with every individual person, your stable of possible contradictions stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody can contradict somebody else, but that doesn't count.
Right.
That happened a lot where somebody be like, no, he does this, and you can't bring it up to that person.
Yeah, you can't like use one person's testimony against somebody else. You are literally just trying to catch them contradicting themselves.
Yes. And this is a scaled back, like the version that came out was scaled back due to budgetary reasons.
Right.
And that could be something that was lost in it, because there are definitely things where somebody would say something that felt like a smoking gun to somebody else. And then the first time that happened, I was very surprised that like I couldn't bring it up.
Yeah.
To this other person. It doesn't get in the way though. Like I ended up having to use a walkthrough a couple times, more just out of expediency than anything. Like I just don't want to go through. So like, what am I missing here?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to go to every single screen, nor do I want to like figure out which person I need to talk to next. Like I would sometimes literally just look at the walkthrough and say, well, okay, like if I have this, then I need to go talk to Emma now. Yeah.
I didn't spoil the contradictions. I also did it for like finding random events in the woods.
Yeah,
which I think is one of the kind of worst kind of choices in this game.
Yeah.
Comparatively, it doesn't spoil it, but it's a bummer.
Yeah.
That you like, every time, every hour that you play through between the hours of 7 and midnight here, you're going to want to go through the woods and just check every section of this woods to see if you happen to run into a rando. Mm-hmm. Who kind of does something.
Yeah. So somebody menacing somebody else with a knife.
Yeah.
That you, for some reason, don't arrest. Gary, how convinced were you that Jinx was the one who did it?
Oh, no, I didn't think that Jinx had done it. I thought it was one of those things where like, I tend to think of British cops as generally just being like less militant and more gentle overall. Yeah. So I just thought of that, where it's like, this is a kid. He's out here without backup. Like he's not going to arrest this dude. He's just going to warn him.
Right.
At the very end when it comes up with a knife and it's just like, oh, this is play acting or whatever. Like that is but to that scene's credit, it is after Jinx has found out that they're going to try to kill him. And he's like on his way to lock himself in the compound so he doesn't, whichever happens, but he's like scared at this point.
Right.
So I think that he just didn't want, a bunch of cultists to come out of the woods and, summarily execute him.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I think that's the idea. Ends up being like surprisingly good though. And 6 hours, it's like the perfect length. It did not need to be any longer than this.
No, I'm happy they scaled it back. Like for as much as maybe there are some like artifacts or remnants of the people contradict each other element. Like that simplicity is to the game's credit.
Yeah, and it's a bummer because the guy had a real bad experience making it.
Yeah,
because it was a budget thing. So he would like to do a sequel where it kind of wraps up the Atlas Corporation stuff, but. If so, he's like, we need a way bigger budget, because the small budget, he underestimated things on Kickstarter, which is tale as old as time, and him doing that as opposed to taking the Double Fine thing where it's like, no, let's ask for more money so we can get fucking Tobey Maguire. He decided to just kind of make it with the money he had.
Right.
And had a bad experience consequently. So that sequel is unlikely. The dude who made this is very interesting. He was the composer for like a bunch of bad but good soundtrack video games.
Yeah, he composed the soundtrack for the Dreamcast Echo the Dolphin game, which is really good.
Yeah. Spider-Man, X-Men, Arcade's Revenge, Silver Surfer, NES. Holy shit! Like that soundtrack is great.
Yeah, if you get a chance to hear it, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it shows up a lot in the best NES music compilations, like all the time.
Yeah.
But he had this like kind of really like great, like well thought of career doing that, and then decided he wanted to make a game. He had this idea for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad that he made this kind of great thing and had a shitty experience with it.
Yeah, I mean, because that'll scare you away. Like, it's probably a stretch to say the guy never has to work again, but like, he's 46, whatever.
He had a career though.
Yeah,
he had a stable, good career.
He had a career that could have been like the start of a second act. And I remember, some of the stuff about this game being like, are FMV games here to stay? Like, is this the time? Turns out, no, not really. And that really just could have been Justin McElroy, who was all about this shit. Like writing that hopefully, which, it's fine. Like, I would love to see more like this. If this is like the sketch or the proof of concept, like get this out there, sell it, and then use this as a springboard to more funding to make the thing you want to make.
Even using this as an engine for like indie games, I appreciate.
Yeah.
Like I would handle some Contradiction Gaiden games if they were well written and acted. Mm-hmm. And when I say well, I mean like written and acted to the format.
Right.
It's like one of the things when we did Gabriel Knight 2 for the show, and like one of the reasons why I think that game stands up is because it is so hammy and like.
Oh, absolutely! Like the villain in that, like
Ben Glauer is like a homoerotic tour de force, like the likes of which the world has never seen.
Yeah, but like he carries that entire game with this performance. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's very like that kind of hammy, over the top thing is what not just like I feel like FMV games specifically, but also adventure games like do their best.
Yeah,
when they're this kind of like I'm not meant to take them that seriously.
Yeah. And
I think this is a really good tone for them.
It's not a matter of casting, because if you look at Gabriel Knight 1, you have Tim Curry hamming it up, and you also have Mark Hamill hanging it up. Like those are at least A-list voice actors at the very least, like ridiculously big names for that venue, but they're still having fun with it. Whereas like this, if you raise enough money to get like Rob Lowe to play the main character, it wouldn't be the same. Like it wouldn't achieve the same thing.
No, this is the perfect cast for this, I think.
Yeah.
I would really like more of this.
Yeah.
It makes me very like one reason it's pretty exciting for me the Chuck Tingle game that's coming out.
When does that come out? I didn't back the Kickstarter.
I did, but I don't know when it's coming out. I think I backed it to get the coffee stuff too, and I have not got the coffee mug.
Whoa! Describe for me that mug.
It's been a while since I looked at the mug. But it's I was just like, I want to give this a little bit more money.
Yeah.
Let me see what pops up here. Kickstarted in the butt, a Chuck Tingle digital adventure.
Yeah, for people who don't know, Chuck Tingle's the online humorist phenomenon, the guy who writes very short erotic stories as Amazon books that usually follow the idea of like pounded in the butt by blank.
There's a lot of like, it is somehow gets away with the like turning things gay thing and is not offensive.
Right.
Because he's a comedic genius, and I don't say that like lightly. Like he is a very, very funny. Whoever is from this.
If you just saw the list of the things that he did, you would think he was very one note. Like following him on Twitter, like this is a person who is playing just a fantastic character, and by fantastic I mean like cannot possibly exist in the real world.
Yes, it is. The mug is it has a sheriff star on it. It says True Buckaroo.
Okay, yeah, that's nice.
On there, a handsome mug for True Buckaroos. I did not get the unicorn butt cop shirt, which has a unicorn butt cop.
That seems like I think that the man, we talk about this a lot, but like the trick for that kind of merchandise is, would that fly in the world of normies?
Yeah, I mean there's that, but I also like I'm kind of done with unicorns a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean we talked about that a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I bought an off-brand Squatty Potty.
Okay.
Speaking of unicorns, and
trying to break your kink out.
I'm trying to shit better. Like I just not to turn this into a classic abject suffering, but I'd like to do better. I've been doing some like B- level shit. So I really want to elevate my game.
Yeah, Squatty Potty, literally just a stool that you put your legs up on in order to achieve a more let's say healthier natural angle on your exit.
That is the idea.
That is the idea. Marketed in a very obnoxious way, where there
that I do not accept.
Yeah, where there is a guy who is dressed up as the berries and cream dude. But serving unicorn poop, which is just soft serve ice cream, but with rainbow colors.
Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like shit, and I don't like unicorns. I don't like the tone of that commercial at all.
Right.
It's like the dark side of the Tim and Ericaning of commercials to me.
Yeah. That was held up as somebody who's on the inside of marketing. That was held up for years as like the absolute best way to do like marketing to millennials. It was like that, and then
Terry Crews, like the Old Spice thing.
Yeah. Like Old Spice is like a big budget thing, or on a small budget thing. The Dollar Shave Club commercials with the guy talking directly into the camera, and then the Dollar Shave Club people turned around and did like another video for butt wipes, like moist towelettes for the butt. That is the most upsetting thing, because they just show a literal pile of shit, like like in an antlion's den of sand.
I don't like that.
No.
I mean, I don't like any commercials. I don't think commercials are okay.
Right.
So like, to clarify, like it's not, this one grosses me out. It's not like I wanted a straight take on this, you know, like a woman, conservatively dressed, kind of, you know, with diagrams.
Yeah. Like you don't want somebody like sitting around the breakfast table expressing concern about the possibility of hemorrhoids.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
I don't want that either.
Right.
There's no way this could have been okay. So I just think that this is, you know, I wish it hadn't been advertised. I wish nothing had been advertised.
Right.
Like I just, you know, this I'll take this as far as it needs to go. But this specifically is really gross. Regardless of which, God, I can't remember why I brought up my off-brand Squatty Potty.
You were talking. I can't remember either.
It's okay. Somebody will remember.
Yeah, I cannot pop that stack. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I didn't finish some point about contradiction. I can't.
Well, no, I mean, like now you have to tell how the Squatty Potty is working out, man.
It kind of depends. Like I feel like there are shits that are so B- that no amount of Squatty or Potty will take care of it.
Yeah,
but it's like if I, you know, it's like a minor amount of extra credit. Like it doesn't redeem. You know, it's not like okay, you know, you did so bad. If you get A's on the rest of your assignments, I'll pass your class. You know, pass.
Right.
It's more like if you can answer this trivia question about the moon in an unrelated class, you'll get it. Like we'll bump you up half a letter grade on this paper.
Right. It's like what Stephen King says about writing. Like, you know, I can't make a good writer and make him great, but I can take an okay writer and make him good.
Yes, it does. It does that. I mean, it does help. Like it is more comfortable and feels better. In my experience, I think the science behind it there's been mixed kind of messaging about it. Like some people say that's kind of bullshit. Some people say there's a little bit of something to it.
Yeah.
It does seem to help a little bit. Because sometimes, you know, like sometimes you get backed up, man.
Yeah. No, just So sometimes you don't make as clean of an exit as you want to from the party, as it were.
Yes. I want a clean break.
Yeah.
It does not always happen. So.
Yeah. I honestly have been thinking for the past 2 minutes of what led you to the Squatty Potty.
No, we could literally check the tapes, but let's not.
No, let's not. I was so on the ride for this. Oh, you were talking about unicorns. It was about Chuck Tingle.
Chuck Tingle FMV. Yes, yeah. I'm very excited for the Chuck Tingle FMV game, and this does nothing to suppress that. Like I'm on board for any of these FMV games that are coming through, even though like it sounds probably like I talked a bunch of smack about Her Story. Like I still liked Her Story.
Yeah.
I am into this FMV revolution, just like I am into old FMV games too. Like I think that it is generally a pretty fun medium.
Yeah, yeah. Really well suited for this show. Like they've been kind of universally a big boon for us.
Yeah, yeah. At some point, I want to do at some point for WAF, I want to do Gabriel Knight 3.
Yeah.
At some point, like I feel like we should do one of the Tex Murphys. Because I don't have a lot of experience with that series, and they're supposed to be good.
Mm-hmm.
So
Under
I'm curious
a Killing
about that.
Moon, yeah.
Yes, and it's always like free. Like GOG is constantly giving it out. Like it's
yeah. I always wonder how that happens.
Yeah, I don't know really how it does either. Like if you want Broken Sword 1, like you have been offered it so many times. Like, people are handing it out like flyers for a show.
Yeah, I'm drowning in copies of Teen Agent.
Yeah, Teen Agent is just never. Like it's more or less we all own Teen Agent. It's like how everybody owns Night of the Living Dead. Like you can, if you do a classics of horror DVD, like Night of the Living Dead will always be on it because it's free.
Yeah, because it should belong to everybody.
Yeah, because it's great.
Yeah, and so should Teen Agents.
Yeah, Teen Agent. An equal work of importance. It's a bummer that George Romero died.
Wait a minute, what? When did he die?
Like a week and a half ago.
Oh, geez, I missed that.
Yeah, George Romero died.
I'm more plugged into the news now than ever. But I miss shit all the time because of
he died is just a distraction for Russia, Cole. Don't fall for
it. Good one.
But yeah, he's George Romero died, and that bums me out because I have a lot of affection for those movies.
Yeah, no, he was fucking visionary. It's not it's trite to say it, but yeah, he did very good work. Like
after he died, Jordan Peele was like, yeah, there wouldn't be Good Out without Night of the Living Dead. And I'm like, like it's 100% true. Yeah. And if people have not watched it, like if you've only watched Dawn of the Dead, I urge everyone to watch Day of the Dead. I think Day of the Dead is a very cool, taps into a thing that I like about zombie fiction, which is the like, okay, it's been a day, we're dealing with the outbreak. Okay, it's been a week, we're starving. What happens after that? Like,
right.
If you just kind of keep going. And that's the thing that I think is like the coolest thing about his legacy of that genre, and the genre of like not just zombies but kind of like apocalyptic horror in general, is he checks in on different time periods.
Yeah,
and it's like the promise of 28 weeks later but actually done well.
Right. And Day of the Dead, and forgive me if I'm wrong in saying the most, but like that is incredibly heavily and probably the most allegorical of them as well. Yeah. It also messes with, they really go full bore with it in Land of the Dead, but in Day of the Dead, it is the like, what if this is just another form of life? Like, Land of the Dead is what I'm thinking of with
you're thinking, Land of the Dead is literally the 1% in the tower. But Day of the Dead begins that kind of thing, and it is just it's a really cool kind of the world building, and it is neat. It's a real good movie.
And Zack Snyder wouldn't have a career without him, so.
Yeah, so thank God. Thank God we got that. We wouldn't have had Batman v Superman. So I think that's everything. Thanks for suggesting this. Genuinely, because I got to play through a game that I ended up really liking.
And like if you haven't picked this up, like we spoiled some broad strokes, but like it's really about paying attention to the performances and getting this. Like, go buy this. It's like a $10 game on Steam. You can get it on it's on mobile as well. Like iPhone and iPad. Yeah, and it would play actually really well based on that. Like, I had wished I had played it on my phone, like kind of in bed. It looks a little bit different. Like the lighting is super wonky. Okay. Like they treated the footage differently, but it is mechanically the same game. Yeah, I believe it for sure. Yeah, but like, thank you, Joshua, for not only your support but for bringing our attention. Like, I knew about this, and it was in my library. I was going to play it in 20 years. Give or take. Yeah. But thank you for forcing us to play this. By no means should anybody think that this is a bad game because it is being featured on this show. It is a profoundly strange game for its time, and hopefully it portends like more cool stuff coming down the line. Yeah. Very, very, very fun game. Well recommended. Yeah. If you like this show,
the best thing you can do is support us on Patreon. And that will allow you to suggest or dictate games as well at certain tiers.
Mm-hmm.
So check that shit out, because that is a cool, fun thing you can do. You can even guest on episodes.
Yeah.
So look at all those rewards if you go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
Mm-hmm. If you want more episodes of this show, do that, because you get 2 extra episodes per month now. Or go to Duckfeed.tv/store and look at the premium episodes that are available there. Sometimes in very convenient, season packages at a discount.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff. And then ratings, reviews, telling your friends, things like that. Like, if you want someone to seamlessly transition from Chuck Tingle to not Chuck Tingle to shit, that makes more sense, but from the Village Green, life on the Village Green to what it's like to unkink your bowel. We're your boys.
Seamless transition.
Yeah, looking for more seamless transitions in the bathroom. If that's impressive to you and you think you know somebody it might be impressive to,
yeah,
that is one of the things that we are good at. On the vanishingly small list of uncommercial skills that I have. So please do that. Until next time, have you seen this dog?